product and our quality. My goal here is actually to represent the community, making sure that revenues are spent correctly, okay, and soundly, in a sound manner. I'd like to bring more openness and accountability for the decisions that we make as a board. I'd like to, and also that I feel that I can work together with the board to come to common sense solutions for the issues that we have going on forward in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Okay, let's move on to some questions. The candidates have been given a chart. I have somewhat of a convoluted chart for how and what order they're going to answer the questions, but it's much better than 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 1, and everybody keeps following the same person. So bear with us and we'll get through this fine. Candidates, please keep your eye on the timekeepers, and their timekeepers wave those cards if you have to. So let's start. Question number 1. And we'll start with number 1, who's Gary. Gary, please. What changes, if any, would you make to the current police contract? Can we cover the 5th beat with only offering overtime and no new hires? Gary, please.
Basically, we're just getting started into the contract with the police that we have now, and I think so far it's worked very well. You don't see as much presence, I don't think, as it was when it was our own, but when they're called, they're here. I don't know, basically our contract is for 2 more years, but we'd have to see, basically evaluated at the end of 3 years. I think that right now they're doing their job. Would we change anything? Yeah, I'm sure you'd like to see them a little more, but like I say, when you call them, they're here, and they're here in a timely manner.
Thank you, Gary. Walter, please.
Well, basically, as what I've observed, okay, is the fact that I've seen more and more patrols lately that have been coming around. I've seen more presence by the officers, and whether where we are with our contract, do we want to reopen that and talk about it? I'm not sure if we can. I really couldn't go too much further in depth with this, but like I said, I feel that it's new. We have to work the bugs out, basically, but I believe that they're doing a halfway decent job. Yes.
Thank you, Walter. Tim, please.
Personally, I have strong ties with the village of Grace Lake. I numerously talked to Commander McCutcheon from the Grace Lake Police Department. And we've had numerous conversations concerning the patrols of the village of Haynesville, which they actually aligned a separate patrol district so their squads can come and adequately provide police protection for our village. As far as scrutinizing their work, I am not in a position at this time. However, I can honestly say that I've seen more Village of Grace Lake squad cars since we've entered into the contract with the Grace Lake Police Department than I did formerly with the Haynesville Police Department. I always see the squads patrolling adequately in our village. Again, as far as statistics, I can't comment on that. I don't have any access to their responses to the calls, whatever. But as it stands right now, until we scrutinize their contract, I'm satisfied.
Thank you, Timothy. Let's see. Kevin.
Right now, I've seen a stepping up of visibility of the police department in the community. Now, I don't know whether that's just because it's election time and everybody needs to be seen and get out there. One thing that I would like to see is a little bit more accountability by the police department for patrol hours, patrol times, and miles and routes that they run through our town. Not just a pile of statistics saying we've had so many calls for service and break it out in a fashion saying, well, we've had X number of calls to do this, or how many tickets were issued, or how many traffic stops were made, but to be able to show us as a community that there's visibility in that they're out there. Number 2, I would like to see, as we have done in the past when we had Round Lake Park for a policing entity, and as the old Haynesville Police Department, to have somebody from senior management, whether it's the commander or anybody, to be here at our village board meetings to be open for discussion.
Thank you, Kevin. Question number 2, gentlemen. What ideas do you have for the vacant commercial properties and for developing this site on Route 134? Tim, please.
You know, we're in economic stress times, and we have to be thankful that the businesses that we do have in the village of Haynesville are rented and are operating. I just heard on the news today where the city of Waukegan is going to be laying off 43 employees of their community. And of those 43 individuals, 20 of them are police officers and command staff. So we have to be thankful that our staff in the village of Haynesville is working and we can adequately provide them with work. But as far as development, we have to just be patient. Hopefully, just like with Russo coming in and taking over the Heinz lumber space, we have to be patient to see who's going to come into the village of Haynesville. Hopefully we can try to get some businesses to come in. But again, we have to be patient in these economic times.
Thank you, Mr. Powell. Mr. Walkington, please.
Well, basically, I think Tim's on, with everything basically at a standstill as far as commercial development is going. I mean, you can drive from McHenry to Waukegan and see that the malls, strip malls and stuff are half empty, and I'm sure that, I know when I was a kid, I didn't ever think Lakers would go away, and now with, Mallard Creek down at the end of, at Rollins and Haynesville Road, I think, basically residentially we're built out. When commercial is ready, I think eventually it will come back. They told us we had to build the homes. We built the homes, and hopefully that when they were telling us that commerce will follow, that eventually it will get here. But it's going to take a while.
Thank you, Gary. Mr. Barrett, please.
I myself work in a kind of a different mode on the sales side of the transportation industry. And there's an old, I guess, acronym that, you can't sell freight sitting on your butt. So I think we need to, one is to go out and put a name to the face of Haynesville. And we went through and redeveloped the website. We spent money to do that. We rewrote our plan with Al Maiden. And I think we really need to go out and maybe market ourselves. Now, how we find the funding to do that, I'm not sure yet. That's something that we have to sit down and talk to the finance committee about. But I think we really need to, put a name to the face of the village, and that would be a good way to market it. It's just not going to fall out of the sky, and businesses are going to come here. Russo was a very good selection for us, and I think, that's what we have to do is market ourselves a little bit better.
Thank you, Kevin. Walter, please.
Development and the economic times that we have right now is just unbelievable. How we can entice another a business to come is going to be very hard work. And as was stated before, we need to make sure that we are attractive to businesses. We have to find ways that we can become attractive to these businesses. And through going out, talking to other communities, see what they're doing to attract or bring business towards their communities, and what has worked, and basically it will be hard for the next few years because of the fact of the economic times that we have, and commercial development, and plus what we have as far as not having a few of our buildings not running completely out. So with that, it's the only thing I can say.
Okay, thank you, Walter. We're going to ask a question that came in specific to this issue of businesses. Question number 3. With the state budget crises and deficit and recent businesses and personal tax increases, what is your vision for capture of new businesses, and what types of businesses should Haynesville target, and should there be a tax incentive provision? Kevin, if you wouldn't mind starting, please.
Well, we've got that wonderful chunk of land that's sitting over across the street from 7-Eleven, the old Village Hall site. I think we should look at maybe something that would not put a drain on our natural resources, such as, manufacturing or car washes, things like that. Professional office buildings would be good. For the empty strip malls, those stores, I mean, that's just general retail type of environment that, will grow as the economy starts. With the state budget being as bad as it is and the economic times as tough as it is with businesses leaving Illinois consistently, just like the company in Crystal Lake that just moved across over to Kenosha, I don't see how we can start putting more taxes on businesses in Illinois right now. We're right now in a budget crunch, and we're going to have to make ourselves more attractive to businesses and not tax them to death.
Thank you, Kevin. Tim, please, same question.
Personally, I'm against any increase of any taxes for anyone, and that includes any businesses that might be positive as far as coming into our community. Again, if there's any way we can establish a TIF district, which is tax incremental financing, possibly that should be looked into to try to attract business. Whether or not we have to do something to entice them. I remember many years ago, that was used to attract Heinz Lumber to come into the location where Russo Power Equipment was here. Their taxes were alleviated for a few years just to get them here. But as far as, again, beating a dead horse here, it's economic times. We just have to be fortunate to what we have, and hopefully that the businesses stay intact to provide us with some kind of commercial tax base, because that's what we need to run local government. As far as what other aspects we can do, like Kevin alluded to here, maybe we can go to the website. Maybe we can really get on some kind of incentive to try to promote the village of Haynesville. Again, improving the website, and this is something that we have to look for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pound. And Mr. Priest, please.
Yes, the development, as everybody has been saying, to entice businesses, and what we would do, just particularly would not, how would you say it? It's going to be hard work again, as I said, and we're not. If we decide to give a tax, we can't, I believe, take away from our tax revenues to give an incentive at this point, because of the fact that what we have is we're taking away from what our budget would be doing. And so I would say that right now, we have to wait till the economy turns around, basically gets a little better, attract businesses just attract businesses through other means that we could try and do, but and work that way.
Thank you, Mr. Priest. And Mr. Walkington, I've gotten a card that they can't hear you, so could you be sure to speak into your mic, please?
Is this better? No? Basically, I would rather give incentives towards what we charge in fees for businesses to come into the village, rather than a tax abatement or whatever you want to call it at the end. I know things are rough, but I think it's hard to give tax revenue away. I would sooner, probably right now, give more benefits to the businesses that are already established, and keep them healthy in the community. Because as far as commercial development in Haynesville, we probably have 25, 30 acres, which is not a very big amount when you have, other developments with 200-300 acres that are sitting idle right now waiting to develop.
Thank you, Gary. Next question, gentlemen. What plans do you have to include the whole village in decision-making? And we will start with Mr. Priest, please.
Basically, just allowing them to come